Hey there, good afternoon on this absolutely gorgeous Wednesday afternoon here in South Florida. I sincerely hope it is equally beautiful when you look out the window wherever in the world you are. So last Thursday here at Bold House, we did a thing. We announced a new iteration, a new bundle as part of a product that we sell here called Workshop Sunday. And Workshop Sunday is a set of white label training content that coaches and consultants and speakers and professional services providers and other types of experts can put their brand on, can add in their expertise and sell and deliver to their clients. And if you're here with me right now, chances are good that you are in some way part of the Bold House orbit. And you're here because you still have a question about Workshop Sunday. And you know that today at midnight is the end of our pre release special pricing, in which there is a $1,500 discount on the brand new bundle, the Done For You Leadership Development Training Program. There's a $1,000 discount on the bundle that we had previously released, the mix and match topics, and a $2,500 discount when you're getting all of them plus a little extra on what we call the kitchen sink. And that's the whole kit and caboodle. And you know that that ends tonight. And you're trying to make a decision as to whether or not this Workshop Sunday program is for you because you would like to save $1,500 or $1,000 or presumably $2,500 or more on what you're doing. And so our team has been answering questions just nonstop since last Thursday via phone, via email, via text. I mean, it has literally been nonstop. In fact, some folks were even having a hard time finding a time to talk to our team. So I wanted to hop on again live and personally answer some of the questions that have come in from coaches and consultants and professional services providers and keynote speakers from all over the world about this program. And so I wanted to do that. If you're just scrolling through LinkedIn or you just happen to get a notification on Facebook that I'm live and you're like, this is the first I'm hearing of Workshop Sunday, Angelique, then this was just fate for you. This was good fortune for you that you could find out about this before those significant discounts end at midnight tonight, which is Wednesday, February, what is today, the 8th, right? Wednesday, February the 8th, the discounts are ending. And so if this just happened to pop up in your feed right now, then that's probably really good fortune for you. And you can head to workshopsunday.com and check out all the information, but you can also get some of that from me right now. So I'm going to take a bunch of questions that have already come in. Some of you may also be with me on social media and you're going to add your question right in chat. So I will see those as well and take those questions. But the most important thing is we really wanted to make sure that you get your questions answered before the discount ends at midnight tonight, because we'll never be able to offer it at this price again. This really was when we looked at the incredible return on investment of a lifetime license to use this content in your business. We looked at it and said, this is a significant set of value that we are providing, but we're introducing it. We want to get folks really excited about this. So we're going to do some special pricing out of the gate. But I want to be very clear, it won't be offered at this price again. And that's why I personally wanted to take the time to answer some of the questions that have come in from our community all over the world. So I'm going to start getting into those questions here in just a second. One thing that I did just want to mention to those of you in our community, over the years, I've had sort of I don't want to say a love-hate relationship with Instagram, but a sort of like, not really. But we have really been very active on Instagram as of late. And about 6 months ago, 8 months ago, somewhere in that time period, I made a switch on my Instagram account because some weird things had happened with the other account. There was hacking and stuff like that. So If you're happening to follow the other account and you're not connected to me on our current account, which is at Angelique Rewers, then you might want to hop in over there. There's some really cool things that we've been sharing that we don't share anywhere else but on Instagram. So I just want to mention that at the top here. If you're not following us on Instagram, you definitely want to do it. It's where I've been doing a lot of sort of the behind the scenes of what we do and some of the places we go and conversations we have with leaders throughout corporate. So it's a good place to get some really great insight and information. So if you're not following me over there, make sure you do that. But primarily we're here today to talk about Workshop Sunday. So I'm going to get into some of those questions that have come in. My team has been passing these along to me, so I'm seeing a lot of the questions firsthand. One of the first questions I want to answer right off the bat is, does this work on an international basis? And the answer is yes, absolutely. This content was created by Tara Powers, CEO and founder of Powers Resource Center, and Tara is known internationally. Her clients are international clients. In fact, one of her clients, for example, is McDonald's. So Tara has really designed this content to really work universally. And yes, you are absolutely allowed to translate any of this content into other languages. And in fact, in just the last 5 or 6 days, we've seen people hop in with us on Workshop Sunday from across North America, across Europe, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. So, really, all over the world, we've been seeing folks take advantage of this content. And one of the things that you can do with your Workshop Sunday license is you absolutely can translate this content into other languages. You do have the opportunity to do that. And in fact, people are using this content all over. In fact, Tara's book, that she wrote with the Wiley organization, the Dummy series. Those of you who know the Dummy series, like Microsoft Word for Dummies, remember Microsoft Excel for Dummies? Remember those like yellow and blue and black covers? Tara has written several books too for that same Dummy series, and it has been translated into languages and is sold all over the world. So her expertise is globally leveraged. And yes, you can use this content internationally. The next question we got is, Angelique, Bold House team, I'm not working with the Fortune 500. I'm working with, and then fill in the blank. We've heard from folks who are working with higher education institutions like colleges and universities, people who are working with technology startups, nonprofits, local government, mid-market companies, larger small enterprises with a couple of hundred employees. And the question is, would this content work in those environments? And of course, the answer to that is a resounding, a huge, a massive yes, because it doesn't matter if a manager is working in a team of 50 people or a manager is leading a company of 50 people or 200 people or 800 people or 10 people. People are people are people. And the challenges that come up when you're a leader in today's environment, wanting to attract the best people and really help those people succeed in your company and really thrive as an employee who is contributing in a positive way, is highly engaged, is getting results. It doesn't matter if that human is working in a department of 50 people inside of a global corporation, or if that person is operating inside of a team of 50 people and the whole company is only 300 people. People are people are people. And this new bundle in particular, when you look at the fact that it covers the entire talent life cycle, right? That talent management development life cycle, these are the same challenges that every leader in every organization around the world is facing today. So, yes, absolutely. A resounding yes. You can use this content for all size organizations, and you can use it for for-profit organizations as much as you can help nonprofits, higher education institutions, and others to really help their leaders succeed in leading their people. And those of you who were on with us at the masterclass last Thursday, you heard us talking about the fact that right now, the biggest challenge inside of organizations is upskilling everyone. In fact, between now and 2030, There's estimates that 94% of the entire workforce on the planet will have to be either reskilled or upskilled in their roles. So there is a lot of change happening inside of organizations. And I'm going to be honest with you, I know a lot of us have been playing around with chat GPT, and in fact my team and I, we were playing around with it this morning, using it for something. And I said to my team, I don't think people realize how much this is actually AI, and it's here now. It's already going to be a challenge for a lot of professions, that it's going to impact them. But the amount of change that we're about to go through in the next 3 to 5 years is unprecedented. It is absolutely unprecedented. I think we're going to look back and say that the internet coming into our lives was child's play compared to the impact of what's going on right now, because we're about to see an onslaught in the advanced robotics area as well. And everything is shifting when it comes to space as well. And so there's really going to be this perfect storm of massive, massive transformation in terms of AI, advanced robotics, and space. And when you look at the intersection of that, when you look at what that means then for the amount of change that leaders are going to have to lead their people through, it's just, and we know that leaders are ill-equipped right now. We know that even with all of the investments that organizations have already made in leaders, it's still barely scratching the surface. So there's just so much opportunity out there in every size organization, in every industry, everywhere on the planet, right? It's just everywhere. The other thing I should say, really toward the top of this discussion, is look, when you're a business owner, and I know there's a lot of information out there today, and we contribute to that information, and you probably contribute to that information. So I know there's a lot of information out there today, but if you look at what it really means to have a business, right? To have a business, it means that you have a product or a service that the marketplace, a segment of the marketplace, needs and wants, and they're willing to pay for it in exchange for the value of that good or service, right? So that's what it means to have a business. And you of course have to actually get yourself in the line of sight of decision makers. You also need that piece of it. Those are the two pieces you need to your business. You need something that the marketplace really wants and needs, sees value in, they're willing to invest in it, which of course we're watching the leadership development, the employee training and development market head to over $500 billion in the next 7-8 years, right? Just this massive estimates of where this market is going. So rule number one in business, follow the money. So you need something that you can sell that's really proven, and that there is a proven track record that the marketplace is going to want, need it, and actually invest in that thing. And then the other side of it is, right, having people to sell to. Those are the two halves of your business. Now, what's really fascinating is just how symbiotic the nature is between those two things, and how not having one really destroys the other. And what I mean by that is, if there's one thing that I have come to truly appreciate. Now, look, we've been mentoring small business owners, coaches, consultants, service providers, other experts, other types of small businesses for 16 some years now, right? All the way back to 2007 is when I took on my very first small business owner client. And if there's one thing that has been a common thread across the majority of folks that when we first meet folks, is actually that they are more afraid of getting a yes from a prospect than they are of getting the no. Now, look, no one likes, humans are wired not to like rejection, because that's actually wired into our survival skills, right? So it's that sort of primal brain of ours. We don't like rejection. Of course we don't. But In many cases, we would actually rather be rejected at the outset, where a decision maker isn't interested in meeting with us or they're not interested in buying from us, because when they say yes, yes, they're going to meet with you, yes, they'd like to move forward in working with you, you all of a sudden need to be able to show up either to that meeting, or if they're like, yes, come in, help us build our leadership skills. Please come in and really help us build our leadership pipeline, arm our leaders with the skills they need to lead our workforce into the future of work. Great. And now they said yes. And we see folks really have panic set in if they don't have a proven product, program, service to deliver to their client. And so what ends up happening is folks know that on a even if they haven't recognized it on a conscious level, on a subconscious level, folks are like, I don't really want to be seen, because if people start seeing me and I'm not really ready to go into that organization in order to deliver a service, and I'm really confident in my ability to be that consultant, be that coach, be that thing, I don't really want a yes, because then I'm really going to be put on the spot to deliver. And so it's so interesting as folks have all of these amazing networks and they have all of these tools, and we'll talk more on the bonus calls about specifically how you can get in front of decision makers. That's the kind of thing we can discuss on the bonus calls. But if you don't have something that you're proud of, that you are confident to take into an organization, it doesn't matter how many marketing tactics you have on your to-do list. Energetically, there's a big part of you that's actually still hiding. And so I think for some folks who are investing in Workshop Sunday right now, it's all about scale. It's about scale, 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 because they know with Workshop Sunday, they can have bench members go in and deliver these trainings, and it's going to supplement their keynote speaking, or it's going to supplement their coaching, or it's going to supplement whatever services they're providing. And so they're doing it for scale. For some of you, though, who maybe are at an earlier stage of your business and it hasn't really reached necessarily the scaling stage yet, a huge value proposition of this is the confidence and the clarity, and knowing that when you get in front of a decision maker and they say, yeah, those are the exact people problems that we are having in our organization right now, that you have something to deliver to these individuals to help them. And you know that this is proven content that has been delivered to Fortune 500 and other types of organizations, and that has gotten rave reviews back. So that confidence of like, okay, I know I've got something. Now, one of the questions that came in is, shouldn't I try to sell this and then invest in it? Well, you could try to do that. I know for me personally, and granted, for those of you who know the Kolbe assessments, I'm a high quick start. So I'm actually really comfortable with high degrees of uncertainty, and I like to fly by the seat of my pants. And, sometimes for me, I come alive under tight deadlines and things like that. But even with my risk profile, my Kolbe profile, I can't imagine, as from a CEO mindset perspective, if I just, I'm not even going to get into universal law here stuff yet, just CEO hat purely right now. I can't imagine, and I'm very good in a sales conversation. You put me with a leader in a sales conversation. I mean, I teach this stuff, right? So I'm very comfortable in a sales conversation, but I cannot imagine, with my 2.5 decades of experience with sales conversations, walking in to a leader inside of an organization and having a cohesive, confident conversation that I can have with clarity and conviction on something I don't have in my hands, that I've never laid my hands on. I have a general concept about what some topics are that I could have, but I haven't gone through it. It's not really organized and ready to go with my brand, and where I can see I'm going to insert, my additional expertise or my personality into it. I haven't really I don't have it in my hands. I maybe have seen it for 15 minutes on a quick walkthrough with Angelique's team, but to walk into a meeting with a decision maker and be able to sell with conviction and stand behind what I'm suggesting that they do with a degree of confidence, I can't imagine, as a 25-year expert in sales, I can't imagine being that person that walks into that decision maker and sells that. So, could you do that? Sure. Do I think it's a very responsible thing to do as a CEO to sell something that you don't have in your hands, that you haven't really spent time with, so that you can speak to it? I don't think that's a great idea. Now, if we move to a sales psychology side of that conversation and you listen to what Daniel Pink talks about, brilliant when it comes to sort of sales psychology, right? Daniel Pink is like, look, whoever has the greatest confidence in a conversation, whoever's belief is stronger, that's who's going to win in the sales conversation. The person who has the most consistent, energetic presence, and the person who is the strongest belief in their point of view, everyone else in the room gravitates to that. So, what energy are you sending, and what is your belief level on something that you didn't believe in enough to invest in, to start putting your logo on it, to start putting, your expertise woven in? Why would a leader believe in your solution if you didn't believe enough in your solution, right? So I think that's a question you really got to ask yourself. And this is one of those, not what do you need to do, but really who do you need to be when you show up and you're speaking to leaders about the solutions that you want to bring to their organization, whether that organization is 50 people or 50,000 people or 500,000 people, right? So there's that. There's also, I think, the other side of this, which you didn't ask in your question, but I'm going to talk about, and that is from a universal laws perspective, right? There are so many things that have been taught on universal laws, so I don't need to spend a lot of time on it. But I do think it's really interesting how folks constantly bargain with their own success by not being ready, by not consistently, again and again, given the opportunity to make an investment in their business, whether it's with a mastermind program or a coach or this is how you build your capabilities briefing, or this is your program that you need to sell, whatever the case may be, coming at it from this place of, I'm not ready, but I'm also not taking the step to get ready. So then how is the universe going to meet me halfway? And so that's the law of cause and effect. And that is the law of being ready, frankly, right? When we get into this idea of the universe sees if you're being ready. Whenever we're like, we'll do X when Y happens, then it's telling the universe, actually, we're not ready for Y to happen. So just think about that, and probably that's showing up in your business in a few places. So take a look at that, because there is a very clear understanding in the universe that when making a decision is only a decision when there has been an action that proves the decision. So action is what shows that you've made a decision, not just saying something or feeling a certain way. Feelings and discussions, that's great. But the only thing that really is, you've made a decision on something when you've taken action. And this is not me saying this. These are the laws of physics, and these are the laws of the universe, which, by the way, are one and the same for those of you who are math geeks like me. So there's that piece of it, right? All right, here's another question. So another question came in, and I think we also had this question once before, so this is interesting. And that is, can we break apart the Workshop Sunday modules? Can we break them apart, especially with the new bundle, that end-to-end done-for-you leadership development program? Can we break that apart and deliver it as individual modules? The answer to that is a resounding yes. Absolutely, you can do that. Not only can you do that, but for some of you who have the original mix and match bundle, or you are getting both bundles, so you're getting Kitchen Sink, you're getting the leadership development training program, you're getting the mix and match bundles, you can put all of it together. You can take, 2 topics from one bundle and mix them with 2 topics from another bundle and come out with one program. You could take 3 from one, 4 from the other, put those together. That's a 7-week course, or that's a 7-month course, depending on when you want to break these apart. You also could take half of one topic and actually mix it in to one of the other workshops, right? And just kind of supplement and do a little bit longer. So you can mix and match and slice and dice and plug and play forever. Like there's no end to the amount of slicing and dicing and mixing and matching and plugging and playing that you can do. It's limited only by your imagination, what your clients are asking you for, and what you think is going to serve your clients the best. So, yes, 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 slice and dice it all the different ways that you want. We encourage you to do that. And by the way, when you do that, when you slice and dice it, that's really also just yet another way to create customization for the exact needs that your target clients have. And that means that you can really charge even more, because anything that's bespoke, anything that's customized, always has an even higher value proposition, right? So you can raise your prices even more. Will there ever be any updates to the Workshop Sunday modules in the future? I could see that happening. If Tara and I ever feel that something really needs to change, if there's, something in there that there's a new concept that's really out there that needs to be rolled in, we would absolutely do that. So that's something I could absolutely see us doing. Any guidance on what to charge for these programs? So one of the really amazing things about Workshop Sunday is it comes with a whole host of bonuses. And one of the bonuses is actually in our vault for you right now. You can actually, when you enroll to get the Workshop Sunday white labeled leadership development training content, you will get access to our vault. And in there is one of Tara's sessions from our conference back in October, where she literally walks through a $180,000 leadership package, a leadership training program for a company, what was involved in it, how she broke that pricing down. But then she also gets into average pricing on different elements of training, half day, whole day, multi-day, so that you have an idea of what's out there in the marketplace. We're going to talk more about what to charge in our bonus calls that we're hosting for you, and there's several of them, and we'll talk more about it in those calls as well. I think the other thing to say is it of course is always going to come down to what part of the world you are in, what field you are operating in. We have folks who work with automotive companies. We have folks who work with hotel brands. We have folks who work with small tech startups in Silicon Valley. We have folks who work with nonprofits and associations. And obviously, you're probably going to see lower pricing with nonprofits, local governments, NGOs, associations, community colleges. You're going to see much higher price points with fast growing, well funded unicorns in Silicon Valley who have, angel investor money and venture capital money falling from the ceiling, and they have to spend it, right? So it's going to depend on where you are in the world, what industry you're selling to, how much you're adding to the program, right? Because you may say, you know what, I love this training so much, but I want to spend an entire day doing group exercises. And we give you lots of exercises, by the way, recommended exercises, but you may have some that you already love and you want to do that. You may want to get a group out on a ropes course, as an example, right? In addition to doing this, or taking them to a cooking class at the end of the day. So there's no shortage of ways. And it's one of the reasons we decided to have fun with the name Workshop Sunday, because you can mix and match all of the content and add as many toppings as you want on to your Sunday, right? So whether you want to have, chocolate sprinkles and whipped cream and caramel and hot fudge and cherries and peanuts and, M&Ms. I used to work at for those in the United States, I spent 6 months working at a Friendly's for those of you who might know Friendlies. And I started as a hostess, which I was actually very good at. I think you guys can probably see me. I loved being the hostess. But then they moved me to the fountain, which is where like you have to like scoop all the ice creams. That was actually really hard work, especially when you're short. I would like fall in trying to scoop the ice cream out. And then, but I loved it. I loved making the sundaes and I loved the special orders. And the fact was, I worked in there, I think probably in the fountain for probably 6 months. And I just remember there was always someone who would come up with some new crazy concoction of toppings and, you know, whether they wanted marshmallow and the peanut sauce and the hot fudge and the caramel, they would come up with all of these options. And, you know, you'd get to the point where like there's no end to the amount of combinations. And that kind of is somewhat what inspired the name of this. Is just how many ways it can be mixed and matched and how many toppings you can add on, because we allow you to do that, which by the way is very unusual when it comes to white labeled content. There are definitely things out there where you can get certified in teaching them, but then you have to teach it in a certain way. You don't get to put your copy, you know, right at the bottom. Now it doesn't become yours. I mean, this is obviously our intellectual property, but you can put your copyright, you can add all of your content in there. Of course, anything you add in always stays yours. That would never, of course, become ours. That would be ludicrous. We would never do that. And so there's no shortage of what you can do to make this your own. Now, one of the other questions that came in was, well, if I'm a coach or I'm a keynote speaker, how am I using this? Well, you're using it for massive upsell and massive revenue, right? Because as a coach, if right now your business is primarily coaching leaders or managers or team members, individual contributors or executives one-on-one, that requires a lot of your time. And that's, you know, you're making money when you're on the phone or you're on Zoom doing coaching sessions. By being able to say to the leader, listen, what if we were to take the concepts that we talk about here, but really impart the skills development to all the managers, all the senior managers, all the directors, all the senior directors, the VPs on up? What if we were to impart these leadership skills to them? And now it's not just happening in this one-on-one 45-minute call every 2 weeks, but we're really taking half days, full days, once a month, every 2 weeks, whatever sequence you want to do. And we're imparting skills because look, if you're coaching one leader in an organization, how much transformation can really happen in that organization? And that was really when we were at the Brandon Hall conference last week that Tara was winning even more gold awards at. You know, what we heard again and again is, look, this message was loud and clear. And I think this is so important for all of you guys to hear. Companies recognize, and they said this, I'm not inferring this. I am relaying to you exactly what was said numerous times at the Brandon Hall conference about this. Companies today, organizations today, cannot afford any longer to select just 20 employees or just 30 employees or even 50 or just 100 leaders and say, you are the chosen ones. And we're going to put this group through leadership development, you know, training for being a better leader. And it's just going to be the chosen ones of the 50. What they are recognizing is that the skills that we are talking about in Workshop Sunday are skills that every leader inside of an organization needs to have. And ideally, they need to have these skills before they are promoted into that leadership position. And if you just want a wake-up call, and I know most of you already know this, but if you ever need that like validation, because I think sometimes that feeling of validation of like, am I on the right track? If you need that validation, just on any given day, go over to askamanager.com and read the newest 2 or 3 letters that have come in to askamanager.com about the insanity that is going on inside of organizations today. So if you just need a little bit of that, askamanager.com is like the perfect, you know, B12 shot of inspiration and validation that you need to remind yourself, just how wackadoodle it is inside of organizations right now, and just how far we have to go in developing leaders in the workplace today. But it is not about a select few anymore. It is about every leader in every nook and cranny of every organization on planet Earth, and perhaps soon the moon and Mars, right? Okay, another thing that came in, I wasn't actually going to address this, but I really feel called right now to address it because this one comment actually broke my heart. And I was like, and this is why Bold House needs to be louder and bolder and everywhere, right? Because this comment really broke my heart. And if you're listening right now and this is you, please know I say this with a sincere heart and care and concern. And oh my goodness, I need to light a fire under my own rear end to get out there even more and just shout from the rooftop even more. And that was this idea that coaches, leadership coaches, executive coaches, any type of coach, I have this piece of hair that's tickling my nose, can't make it today unless they're selling to other small business owners. And I nearly fell off my chair. The one thing you need in a business is a profitable target market. And I can't and a market that's going to allow you to exponentially expand your reach in the world. So when we see our clients working with these mid-market companies, working with universities, working with NGOs, working with McDonald's and Mercedes and BMW and Oracle and Verizon, I mean, it's like unbelievable the success they're having. Here is the issue, and I'm not going to win any friends with certain organizations when I say this, so we may not leave this video up forever and eternity on this one. But I really piss some organizations off out there. I really, really do. Haters are going to hate, and some of your haters you got to love. And there are organizations out there that really don't like us because they don't like the idea of coaches focusing on making the money. Right? Make the money, make the money. And there's certain other professions that are like that as well. The fact is that the money that you make in your business is an equitable exchange of the value that you are providing to your clients, in this case, organizations. And leadership coaches and people culture experts and the stuff we're talking about in Workshop Sunday is some of the most critical work on the planet that's being done. And gosh darn it, you all deserve to be paid and paid well for it. So that's that piece of it. The other idea that folks selling to organizations aren't making any money is malarkey. That's baloney. Of course they are. In fact, I can't tell you how many people come to us and they're like, I'm selling for this for $2,000. And then this client signed up for $2,500 and then they didn't pay me. And then this one was going to be a $500 coaching call. And it's like, I remember one of my very first clients, and she's still with us today. And I won't mention the global brands that she's working with because all of you would know instantaneously who I'm talking about. But this is a person who, when they first came to me, was basically selling $97 ebooks and $4.97 info products and working their tail off. And it was, and now their organization is working with the top 200 organizations, like organizations within the top Fortune 200 around the world, doing some of the most important work that you can possibly imagine. If you believe that the only way to make money, or that you can't make money with organizations, then what that means is you're not doing things right. That's the bottom line. You're trying to take B2C marketing strategies, B2C sales strategies, and you're trying to use them with B2B organizations. That does not work. It's also more than likely, if I'm hearing from a coach that's like, nobody's making any money, they're probably spending a lot of time in group programs where everybody's still trying to do challenges and sell for $4.97, et cetera, or they're in professional organizations where the average income of those people that those organizations' own research reports are showing that they're making $30, $40, $50, $60,000 a year. That's bullshit. Like, that is utter bullshit. You were talking about people who come out of corporate, some with 10, 20, 30 years of experience, have advanced degrees, have led teams, go get multiple certifications, are certified in multiple types of assessments, are absolutely essential to organizations being able to survive the future of work, and they're making 30, 40, 50, $60,000. By the way, these are a lot of times the organizations who don't want me to come speak to their people about how those people can make more money. So if you're thinking, I don't know how to make more money in my business, then we probably need to have a different conversation. You need to be on the phone with our team so that we can help you understand how to get in front of decision makers and how to have conversations with decision makers in a way where you're confident, where you're clear, and where the conversation is a total joy. Where the leader on the other side of the table, my client Nancy has given me, she's one of our top tier clients, she's one of our Rocketeers, and she's given me permission to share this. And the way that we have taught her to have conversations with leaders has them literally reaching over the table and grabbing her arm, going, "Oh my God, Nancy, that is exactly what's going on in our organization. Can you help us with that?" And so that arm grab moment feels really good. And you don't get there being pushy, and you don't get there being salesy. You get there showing up with these leaders, being able to have a conversation with conviction and speaking their language and having empathy for where they are, but also giving them a clear plan on how you're going to help them to solve that. And that's where I think a lot of people get tripped up. You know what the problem is that these organizations are having when it comes to culture, when it comes to engaging their people, when it comes to lack of leadership skills. But to build your own training program from the ground up is laborious. Average of 28 to 36, 38 hours per hour of training content that you have to develop. What we're saying to you is, and especially with this new bundle, it's over like 896 saved hours of time by us just giving you the program on a silver platter. That was a little bit of a tangent, but I think it's an important conversation for us to have. But the short answer is, of course, you can make significant revenue working with organizations, because organizations have the need, the desire, and the means to not only invest with you once, but to invest with you multiple times, over and over again, and to upscale the program that you come into them with to get started, to upscale it to other departments, to other divisions, to other subsidiaries. And guess what? They always have new leaders coming into the organization. They always have new people getting promoted into leadership. So you want to have a target client base that will stay with you and work with you year after year after year. That's how you get consistency. That's how you get predictability. That's how you can sleep at night knowing that you're good. So absolutely. Somebody asked, is this a good door opener? And that's why we called it the six-figure door opener. There's actually no better way to get your foot into organizations than training programs. And the reason for that is because it's clearly scoped and it's low risk for organizations. You know, consulting is pretty wide open, right? And it's hard to know, is someone going to be a good consultant or not? Training programs, it's more clearly scoped. There's a better understanding of exactly what when they're saying, can you come in and work with our leaders and help them build the core skills they need to effectively lead the talent that reports to them? You can say yes. Everyone knows what training is. So this is a perfect gateway offering. And once you get your foot in the door, especially when you use some of the tools and the strategies and the techniques that we're going to teach you on the bonus calls, it's going to allow you to naturally upscale the training, as well as upsell into more coaching, upsell into more services, upsell into more consulting. So that's why the bonuses are included for you. If you haven't had a chance to go check out what those are, they are all on workshopsunday.com. Really look at those. We put those in very thoughtfully for you guys. I just saw someone just said, I've spoken to leaders and they want to hire, but they don't want to pay. And I don't know if you mean they want to hire a trainer, if they want to hire people. I assume we're talking about you. What I would say to you is if that's the case, two things could be going on. One is that you're not speaking to someone high enough up in the organization, or you're not directly talking to them about the challenges that they're having in their organization and when is it that you want to stop dealing with these issues, right? The other thing is, one of the things that we talk a lot about at Bold House is understanding that leaders buy when something sort of triggers them to do that. And so when you ask them questions like, when are you going to be making your next round of promotions, and are those folks ready, and how are you going to have them ready before you promote them, or are you going to set them up to fail, right? Because that's what's going to happen if they're just trying to learn on the job. So it is a little bit about that. But the other piece of it too is we are big believers in that expression: if you have to drag them in, you have to drag them around. And you need enough people to talk. Like, you want to make sure you never get fixated on one particular prospect, right? Because you cannot make people buy from you. There has to be some sense of urgency on the part of the other individual. And this is, I don't care who your target market is, you can explain with logic until you're blue in the face. But at the end of the day, even the folks who are investing in Workshop Sunday right now, these are folks who are like, hey, I don't have time to waste in my business. I'm committed to growing my business. I'm not going to twinkle toe around about things. I know there's tremendous money in this market space. We're already in the people space. This is going to allow me to build my bench so much faster and be like, here, go into these organizations, start delivering this. I'm going to tell my network I have these workshops available, which is going to open up conversations with new prospects. When I speak, when I'm on podcasts, when I'm out doing LinkedIn Lives, I'm going to talk about the training topics we have available. And gosh darn it, I am all in my business. So let's go. And I can't put that fire in someone's belly. Now, I can answer questions to help people understand and make sure they're clear and, where their priority, but, at the end of the day, and you can't either. So if you're getting well, we don't want to pay, that's what we call an unconverted, and I mean unconverted, like they're not a believer then, right? In investing in their people. You're probably going to need to move on to those folks. You probably need to be speaking in different rooms and connecting with higher level people. But here's one thing I will tell you. When we were at Brandon Hall last week, and I'm so glad I had the opportunity to be there because my schedule is always very busy, but to be there in that room and to see the sort of combined positive energy, urgency, and panic simultaneously on leaders' faces of, this isn't even up for debate anymore. It's just a matter of, how do we scale this? How do we get everybody going? Like, we've got to get our leaders and our people upskilled, because we can't not. Accenture, actually, it was so fascinating. They were talking about, it's crazy. They were like, look, it is crazy that the way, and UBS said the same thing. UBS, not UPS, by the way, you guys, UBS, the wealth management company. They were saying, both of them were talking to the fact that when it comes to people development, when it comes to leadership development, basically shame on us for not having put the same rigor and the same energy and the same investment into that as we've invested into every other single part of our entire company. So those days are over. The pandemic, followed by the Great Resignation, blew it all up. And, I think it's going to be rare and far between that you get those leaders who just don't see it. And those folks aren't going to be around much longer, and their organizations are going to suffer. But what I would say to you is, you don't need to suffer fools lightly. It's what you don't want to ever do in your marketing is really try to convince people who are not believers. What you want to do is you want to focus on getting to those leaders who know without, they get it. And now you're the solution that's in front of them. One of the other things that was really interesting, and I really want to drive this home, is that, you look at someone like Tara, who's a very small business, just like all of you, and she's working with some of the biggest brands in the world. Not that you have to work with the biggest brands in the world, but it's like, why would they work with a small business versus some of these bigger corporations that are out there? The fact is that training is really a kind of roll up your sleeves kind of thing and get in there with the client. And you don't need an organization like Accenture or an IBM or that size organization to come in and do your training. In fact, it often works better when the team coming in is very agile, really personal. And in fact, I saw that. I witnessed it firsthand as I was at the conference, and people were coming up to Tara from major companies asking if she had the bandwidth, if Powers Resource Center had the bandwidth to work with them. And they would say things like, we really like working with small, we don't want a big company coming in to do this. We really want to work with a team that's not going to turn this into a science project and is just going to roll up their sleeves and get to work with us. Couple more questions that came in. Does Workshop Sunday make sense as an initial offering for a cold lead? Yep. It really, really does. People who have an offering already, like a coach or a keynote speaker, how does this apply to me? Well, I think I'm going to pick on keynote speakers here for a second. So you go in and you give a talk to an organization, whether it's 45 minutes, an hour, or 90 minutes. How much impact can you really have in that time? Now, emotionally, you can have a huge impact, right? In 90 minutes, you can make like a massive emotional connection and like really touch people. But then you're going to leave, and the forgetting curve is going to set in, and then right, and then everybody goes back to their desk. They have no new skills. So you're already in the organization. You're obviously being brought in. They're investing they're flying you in. They're pulling their people together. They have a keynote from you. Obviously, they're looking for some type of transformation. To have a training program on the back end that you can offer these organizations is an immediate revenue booster. And whatever your keynote theme is can be woven into all of this. Like, let's just say I'll pick on something. I'm going to pick like a really lame sort of keynote talk topic here. Let's say it's like, let's get fired up, right? It's like the keynote is let's get fired up. You could take that, and to each one of these training modules, it could be let's get fired up about leading remote teams. Let's get fired up about emotional intelligence. Let's get fired up about one-on-one conversations. You can literally take your brand, your message as a keynote speaker, and just infuse that straight across the entire Workshop Sunday. You can even pull in pictures of you speaking, or like the stories that you tell in your keynote, and just weave all of that right back in. I know a lot of folks who are keynote speakers are absolutely fantastic with energy, but the last thing they want to be doing is spending 896 hours painstakingly building a leadership training program. Coaches are the same way. I kind of talked to that one before. If you're having a one-on-one session with a coach, with a leader, great. But what about the leadership development skills that all the leaders need? And how are you creating a container of support that really elevates and really maximizes, right? Multiplies the impacts that you're having through one-on-one coach sessions. And because the facilitator guides are so thoroughly complete, our clients like Sandy, who was on the masterclass, she's like, look, she's a 10 quick start. She does not want to have to be the one always doing training after training. She was just able to hand all of the Workshop Sunday stuff to her bench, told them to read the facilitator guides, made sure they were good to go, and off to the races they went. So that works really well. Some folks, feel that they have content and they've delivered content to organizations in the past, and that's awesome. A lot of our clients have taken Workshop Sunday and either intermixed it to make their content actually more robust. But typically what folks realize is, number one, when they see what Tara has done, the way she lays out the training, the facilitator guides, the checklists, the robustness of the system of it all, they up level their own training that they already had, because they want it to kind of match structurally to how Workshop Sunday operates. Number two, they supplement the topics in. And I think the other thing folks realize is, wow, this is really a universal set of training content where the stuff I've built has been so specific as one offs because I didn't build it as sort of a universal training program. I built it in response to each organization's needs, but it's not really ready to go to scale and to really be ready for all organizations. And so I think it's been really interesting to watch folks, and some of the folks who really were sort of knocking each other out of the way to be the first person to get access to the new workshop Sunday were the folks who actually had the first workshop Sunday. So that kind of tells you a lot about it, that the folks, so many of the folks who had the first 6 modules were the very first ones in the door, like, Black Friday, day after Thanksgiving, knocking through the doors to get access to the next 8. They were the ones who were like, when are they going to be ready? When are they going to be ready? When are they going to be ready? And these were the folks who already had training content. And they're like, no, it doesn't matter. We don't have these exact topics ready to go. This is making our lives so much easier. So I think that speaks volumes to that. It's great that you have some. The question is, do you have an end-to-end program that's really scalable and covers all of these must-have universal evergreen topics that all these organizations need? I think the other question that came in is, well, I have a lot of knowledge in my head, so I feel like I could just build this. You probably could. If you haven't already, why haven't you? Probably because there's always a higher and better use of your time, or because you're procrastinating, because it's a laborious. I mean, building training content is a labor of love, right? So it's a labor of love to build the training content. So I don't, so I think a lot of folks are just like, you know what, CEO hat here, CEO mindset. Why would I not take award-winning proven content that's already done and just spend my time customizing it to my brand, putting my personality in, the fun stuff, the toppings, not doing the laborious work of Angelique bending over into the bins at, 2 hands trying to get that vanilla ice cream out. Cause let me tell you, I would like go home like just completely covered in ice cream. It is hard work scooping out that ice cream. The fun part was always, once it was like in the glass dish, was doing all of the toppings. You just get to do the fun part. You don't have to literally be, waste, into your waist of scooping the laborious part of all of your knowledge and trying to figure out how to organize it for the adult learner and building exhausting facilitator guides to give to your bench. I never want to have to do that. I love Tara that she was willing to do that. I never want to have to do that. Ever, never, ever do I want to have to build a facilitator's guide ever. Yeah. Okay. Yes, the relationship and personalization is key. Absolutely. I think that's a huge part of it. Let's see. What is your most popular workshop? Leadership. Yeah, during the pandemic and at the end of the pandemic, in the original 6, the emotional intelligence and leading for remote and hybrid teams, those were like massive. Like the emotional intelligence was like constant. Folks were asking and we're getting inquiries and delivering emotional intelligence, and then leading these hybrid teams, right? And those two are still like just in huge demand. When it comes to the new bundle, big ones are those coaching conversations, those one-on-one coaching conversations, because companies know that they want their leaders to show up more like coaches, not like dictators, right? Not task managers or task dictators, but they want their leaders to be able to have coaching conversations, but they don't know how to do that. So that is a really big one. Of course, right now, the other huge one is hiring great talent. That is massive. And I would say, if I was looking at what would I offer to organizations right now, is like if I wanted to just go immediately, it would be hiring great talent, right? Because it's interesting, especially now, I'm going to make a very US centric comment right now, because obviously, the job market is different in different parts of the world. everyone, I've said for the last couple of months, my hair is not on fire about the economy. And I think that there's a lot of doomsdayers out there right now. And I kept saying, no, I'm still not seeing it. What I'm seeing is really, really strong demand. There are so many open positions. Companies are desperately still trying to hire, even with some of the bigger layoffs coming out of these massive brands like Google and Twitter and things like that. It doesn't matter. There are such gaps in skills in other companies. These people are getting gobbled back up. So pretty much from small enterprises up to the big conglomerates, hiring great talent is a huge one. So that is super hot right now. And just talk to somebody in a company and be like, how many open positions do you have? And what is it like finding great people right now? So that's a huge one. I think one of the other things that I love about the new leadership development is about building relationships inside the organizations. And those are the when you look at the last two modules, kind of it goes from really sort of micro to a more sort of macro view as the program goes on. What we heard at Brandon Hall loud and clear is organizations want to build community amongst leaders inside their organizations. We're going to talk about this on one of the bonus calls about how to create really multi six figure client journeys. And, one of the things is really how do you relationship build inside of organizations and how do you create that environment, the right environment? And so I think that's really cool that we get into that as well. Somebody asked a question about scale on here. Yeah, and I think one of the other, let me talk here about scale, because I think scale is such an important thing for you guys to be thinking about in your business. There are these different journeys that people go through when they come to work with us at Bold House. The first journey I kind of alluded to is that person who's really using all of those B2C, you know, info marketing coach, like, small business coach world strategies, and trying to apply those over to the corporate market. And of course, they never work, right? There's that. So there's that journey of like, oh, wow, I realize I've been using all the wrong approaches in what I'm doing. And I have to kind of go through that mindset. The other thing that really happens for folks is when a lot of times, especially coaches will come to us and they say to us, I love coaching and I just want to be on the phone all day coaching. And there's a couple of my clients I'm thinking of in particular that really stand out, but they were adamant that all they wanted to do was coach, 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 coach. There's nothing wrong with that. And we just smiled and said, okay, but still, we want you to be able to scale your revenue. We want you to be able to scale your business. And what is so funny is as they start having conversations with organizations and they start having things like Workshop Sunday and bench members that allow them to build the scale in their organization, the next time we meet with them, we hear, I don't want to be stuck on the phone all day coaching. I don't mind coaching senior executives, but I don't want to be tied to my computer coaching all day. I want to be talking to these leaders about how they create more transformation in their organization and how we can do strategy days and get the training and do group coaching and have my other coaches sit on the phone all day listening to the same stuff over and over and over again. So it's really kind of interesting. And I think that's probably one of my favorite things about Workshop Sunday is just the ability that it gives folks to scale. And I think the more that you guys have an opportunity to scale is great. So someone from LinkedIn just said, oh, I love that. A lot of times we get an opportunity within an organization, it ends, we walk away, but other opportunities are in the organization we could be connected with. Yeah, so that's one of the things that we'll do on the bonus call is we're going to talk to you guys about, there are 3 different ways to use training to create 6-figure and multi 6-figure engagements in your organization. The first way is just straight out of the gate, build a leadership training program for them that you charge 6 figures for. And you do that by using Workshop Sunday content and having, some mastermind discussions and extra Q&A sessions and things of that nature added in, and you can sell a 6-figure engagement. The next way that you can sell 6 figures or multi 6 figures is by upscaling the program to go to other departments, other divisions, other business units, other geographic regions, other subsidiaries, etc., right? Because that's the thing about organizations. there's always another stairwell leading somewhere else in the organization, right? So you can upscale it. You can even take it to the new manager trainings. You can take it as part of their onboarding of anyone who joins the company, running it every 6 months for new leaders coming into the organization so that they kind of get up to speed as well. And then the third way to create six figures from training is to do enough needs discovery in the prep and delivery of the training that when you do your bounce meeting, you can bounce right into more coaching or bounce into more consulting. So, or bounce into keynotes or whatever that case may be. So, we're going to break that down on the Six Figure Plus bonus call. What are those three lanes? And what do you need to do to really set yourself up for success? Because to this comment that was just shared here is it ends and we walk away. So we call that the dead end once and done. That is the dead end once and done. And that's one of the ways that we really help folks make a lot more money is we help them understand what is the process that you never ever again create a once and done dead end scenario with your client. And so we're going to get into that a lot on the bonus call, and we'll show you what that path looks like as well. I think there were only a couple of other questions that came in. For those of you who joined us late, look, here's the deal. So today's the last day. That's why I wanted to hop on here. Today is the last day of our pre-release special with the $1,500 off of workshopsunday.com, the new bundle, $1,000 off the original bundle, or together $2,500 off the kitchen sink. And actually with the kitchen sink, there's even an extra $500 off of that. So it's pretty significant with the kitchen sink for those of you who want all 14 bundles. I do want to say, and this is just so that you know, because we've had folks, I can't tell you how many folks, when we first introduced Workshop Sunday way back when, it was probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, and we were just we wanted to make sure this was something our community really wanted. Folks didn't take advantage when we said this is the pre-release special. And then we heard from them later and they're like, why did I not do that? Like, what in the world was I thinking? And so we're at now, but we won't be at now very soon. We'll be at then. And when we're at then Workshop Sunday will not be at what it is at now. So don't do that to yourself. Okay. Really don't do that to yourself. If you're a coach, if you're a consultant and you don't have these topics ready to go for your clients, this is the opportunity to take advantage of it. One more question I saw in here that came in, I just want to address. Oh, is additional questions that come in. So we have lots of bonus calls that are a part of this. Most questions that end up coming in to us, kind of trickling in, can just be emailed in or posted in the Get Corporate Clients group. Usually they're just really simple, quick questions because everything is really simply laid out and Tara's always putting extra resources into the vault. But sometimes folks have emailed in with a quick question. We've answered it. You've got our Get Corporate Clients Facebook group. Those of you who are in our collective with us, of course, you guys have tons of opportunities to get your questions answered in our Q&A calls. If we get to the end of the bonus calls and we feel like there's still a lot of pent up questions, we're just going to do another Q&A call because that's just what we do. We weren't planning on even doing this Q&A call, but we were getting all these questions. So we're like, let's hop on. We don't want folks kind of having these questions unanswered. So we're going to answer them. The question is it a quick question in Facebook? Do we need to talk to you? Is there enough questions built up that it makes sense to have a Q&A call? So there are ways to get your questions answered with us for sure. Let's see. Oh, and then someone was asking, is there a walkthrough? Yes, in fact, one of the bonus calls with Tara, for example, is literally walking through how to use this content. Like, what do you want to look at first? What's in here for you? What are you doing in these things? And I will tell you, I can't say this enough. The facilitator guides are so thorough. But one of the bonus calls is specifically Tara doing basically a walking tour. What movie was it where it was like, we're walking? we're walking. Was it Dave? Was it the movie Dave where they're like walking through the White House and they're like, so we're going to do a walking tour with you guys through the program so that you guys can see that, really understand, especially the leadership development program, because there you go. Where do I go to see the offerings? So it's Workshop Sunday, but is in ice cream, not the day of the week, Anne. So it's workshop and then Sunday, SUNDAEY, because it's about making ice cream Sundays, not the day of the week. So that's what you want to do. And yeah. And then, yes, thank you so much, Karen. And it was the movie Dave, right? So we're going to do and we're walking. So we're going to walk you guys all the way. By the way, I love that movie, Dave. Karen, I just love that movie so much. It's so very sweet. But yeah, and you can go over to Workshop Sunday. I've got the URL right here as well for those of you who aren't listening, but you're on social media. And then, yeah, and I would just say too, right? Just the amount of tools that are in here. One of my favorite things about Workshop Sunday is folks have said to us, I was not only able to supplement all the topics that I already, I have topics. Now I have all these new topics to offer my clients, which opened up opportunities for me to go back to clients who already loved me and bring them something new. But it actually made my own content better because I realized that even though I'm really smart and I know all these things about leadership and all these things about people, I've never been trained in how to be a content developer. I've never been trained how to build a facilitator guide. I've never been trained how to organize content in a way that is for the adult learner. I'm not using pre and post surveys like you guys give us. I didn't know that I was supposed to be doing all of these exercises, or that I should have a checklist when we go in, or that I should be giving the managers these tips on how to reinforce all of this with their people. I didn't know these were the components I was supposed to be delivering. And there were so many gaps in my own content. So not only did I get 6 new, 8 new, 14 new training topics to take to my clients, but I actually realized I could make my existing content so much better. And then I would feel even better about what I was delivering. And I'd feel even more confident in my pricing and more unequivocal in how much organizations need me to come in and to do this for them. So I just love all of those pieces as well. So I've answered tons and tons of questions. I've answered tons and tons of questions for you guys. If you want to, we do not cover D&I. Actually, this is not a D&I program. We can certainly look at doing that. But we have some thoughts about who should and shouldn't be delivering diversity, equity, and inclusion. The motivational piece is really, how do you get people engaged? How do you get people high energy? How do you get people really contributing and creating an environment where people are motivated to work? DE&I, not everyone should be teaching DE&I. Do you know what I mean? And so that's something that we're very respectful around. So it is not that piece. Oh, it's good to see you, London. It's good to see you. Greetings to London. It's evening there. So hope you're having a wonderful evening. What I would encourage you guys to do as well, and Karen was so kind. Karen also dropped a link in here for you guys as well. You can also get to that link through workshopsunday.com as well. You guys can get there to that URL through here. You can absolutely book a call with our team. Do so quickly though, because the discount ends tonight. So do that quickly to talk to our team if you want to go even deeper in with questions. But I certainly hope that this was helpful to you guys. We really want you to have the information that you need to be on board with us as we get ready to host our bonus calls. You have a couple of weeks to go through everything before we get on to the bonus calls. So we did that on purpose. So you guys have some chance to absorb some of the content, see what's in the vault, watch some of the bonus stuff that's already in there for you. It's really just incredible. And it's going to really support your business, which we're so excited about. So, with that, I'm going to send you guys back to the rest of your day. Make sure you head to Workshop Sunday. Get the program before the price goes up tonight. If you still have questions, by all means, please, please, please book a call with our team. They don't bite. I promise. We're here to serve all of you. So, have a great rest of your Wednesday, everyone. And I will see many of you guys on our bonus call in just a couple of weeks. All right. Bye, guys.